Week away from National Signing Day, Joe Giglio, Todderick for NJ Advanced Media. We talk about what's going on, Todderick, in New Jersey, and there are 4 players that pretty prominent that they're not committed yet, which is always interesting. We're just a week away. Kids that have not made their college decision, because we talk so much about these kids, and usually we know at this point most of the time where these kids are going to end up.
Well, there's certainly a number of guys still hanging around, about 15 to 20 guys with at least the potential to actually do it on the field, but for whatever reasons have yet to commit to a college. We're going to talk about a number of those guys today and what they're up to.
Let's talk about Eddie Lewis first. He's from Modern Day. He's a wide receiver. Modern Day's become a really good program. When I was in high school, they were the team that we could actually beat. I went to Mondon, but that's not the case now. They're good. Eddie Lewis is a good player. Tell us about him and what you're hearing and what kind of player he is.
Well, that program itself has come a long way. I mean, going from a program that was about to be shut down a couple of years back to now being prominent and winning a state title. Eddie Lewis is actually the player that scored on that hook and ladder to get that state title for Modern Day.
That was an amazing play.
It was an amazing play, one of the top plays of the year throughout the entire country. Just a completely dynamic athlete at about 5'11", 190 pounds, just terrific with the football in his hands. Had a number of options leading up to this point. Had some academic issues that he's worked through. Right now, Rutgers really looming prominently there. I'm assuming that he ends up there. Still got some work to do. Will be interesting to see where he ends up.
So he's a fun one to watch. And that play, if you haven't seen it before, you got to check out that video. How about Keyshawn Farmer, a petty kid? He's a running back. He also on this list, and one of those names we want to talk about that is not committed yet.
I'll tell you, he's the MAPL player of the year. Offensively, he's dynamite with the ball in his hands. Twitchy, a bit undersized at about 5'6", 5'7", 165 pounds, but he's rocked up, has about an 8-pack. He's tough to get on the ground. It's tough to land a real square hit on simply because he's like a jitterbug out there on the field. You watch his highlights, and it's like watching Tecmo Bowl. I think he probably ends up at one of the service academies, but as of right now, he has yet to commit to a school.
It kind of reminds me of a little Darren Sproles, like a young Darren Sproles, the way he described him. Just shifty and tough to take down. How about Chris Chuck Wienecki, St. John Vianney kid, another running back on our list. He does not have a school yet, but from what we understand, this kid can really play.
Chuck Wienecki actually came through my former youth football program, the North Edison Shamrocks, so I know him quite well. Certainly a tremendous football player. Started out his high school career at J.P. Stevens, ended up at St. John Vianney, where he had a tremendous season. Actually, for the past 2 years, another guy that plays on both sides of the ball, made some explosive plays even at safety 2 years ago against DePaul in that state final that the team lost. But he's hanging out there, recently decommitted from Villanova. Picked up a UConn offer. UConn staff changed, so that's kind of influx. I know UMass is getting involved. It looks like he'll take an official visit there next weekend. So remains to be seen what will happen there. But he's also got some prep opportunities if those FBS opportunities fall through.
Sounds like a kid that has some options here,
yes,
depending on where he's going to end
Absolutely.
up. And then we'll end with Devon Miller, a tight end from Metuchen, a kid not right around the corner from where we are right now. Tell us about him. The only tight end on our list, running back receiver, Devon Miller, Metuchen.
Well, Devon Miller is a 6'4", 235-pound DN/tight end. He's actually the little brother of Dorian Miller, starting offensive lineman over there at Rutgers. Speaking of Rutgers, they were his first offer. Picked up an offer from Houston early on in his recruiting process. Committed to Houston. Actually wasn't so open to any other schools at that point, being that he had committed. Eventually, that ended up falling apart. He ends up back on the market, has some additional options there. I know Syracuse, one of the schools that jumped in there. A number of schools involved late. Still uncertain exactly where he ends up. He's not one of those recruits that really talks a lot about what he's got going on, but certainly a gem that's still out there, still left for a school to snatch up before signing day.
So there's plenty of kids out there who haven't made a decision yet. We'll see where they end up. We'll be back with you next week for a live signing day show. And Todd, we're going to have a lot to talk about. It's going to be fun next week. It's always fun doing these shows. And so February 1st, as always, and it's a week from today. So we'll be back then, and we'll talk about everything, including Rutgers and what happens with all these kids in New Jersey. Thanks for watching.
Can't wait.